So today we got three big Disney and Pixar franchise. Well, I guess one Pixar franchise and two Disney sequels announced that were big, and a lot of people were confused but also excited of why this happened. So I'm gonna break down the news. Basically, Disney lost a ton of money, and that is because, and a lot of people who are fucking stupid and fucking right-wing Republicans will tell you that it's because it's woke Disney and they're losing all this money. No, it's none of that shit. Because at the end of the day, Black Panther still made close to $1 billion. Avatar is a Disney film, still making close to $1 billion. Their streaming service is still profitable, but it's also still losing money. But and the reason why they're losing money is just because a lot of companies are losing money. Hollywood is about to hit a recession. It doesn't matter what studio you are losing money in Hollywood right now. And some studios are handling it better than others. They're just trying to cut corners, and a bunch of people lost their jobs. And so basically, Bob Iger is a way to tackle that news. They wanted Bob Iger is a good businessman and a good press person. So what he did is he said, "Hey, we got this terrible news about all these people losing their jobs. Let's announce something to make the people happy so they're distracted from that news." And that's what this is. And also, two of these sequels made complete and total sense. One of them didn't, and I think it's fucking ridiculous that we're getting another one, but I'm also conflicted about it. Let's start with the one that made total sense. Frozen 3. I fucking hated Frozen 1 and 2, but we're getting a third one. Duh. The sequel made more than the first movie, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember how much it made, but it definitely made over $1 billion. Of course, we're gonna fuck another one. I literally saw kids go into the theater opening day, sit in the front row dressed as fucking Elsa. Of course, we're getting a fuck another one. Just, I don't want another one. It's a terrible movie. It's a sin to humanity, but we're getting another one. So that's all I have to say about Frozen 3. I just do not give a shit. I honestly I honestly think that the creative team that made the Frozen movies probably didn't want to make another one, but they're like, whatever, we'll make another one because the last one just felt like nobody had any good ideas for a sequel and knew what the fuck they were doing, and so they just like threw together this random movie. Anyways, let's move on to the other one, Zootopia 2. This one made a lot of sense. There was a lot of like people when they dropped these Zootopia Plus shorts who were like, really? This? Not an actual sequel? So people have been begging for a sequel to this one for a long time. Makes total sense. No complaints here. It's a great movie. And I think that in our modern society, there is so much racism still that that you can still comment on a lot of issues, even issues that have happened recently. I'm not gonna go like into any specific issues, but like there's because there's really so much that's like I can't really just pick one specific issue like to see them tackle. There's just so many different outlets and different things that could tackle with that. So that's a really smart idea to make a sequel to Zootopia and you know, make them another one. The one that doesn't make sense to me is Toy Story 5. But I also understand why we're having one because Toy Story 4 made over $1 billion. But my thing about it is like this. I so basically because of the pandemic, so many Pixar movies that should have gone to theaters didn't. And that hurt the reputation of Pixar as a movie going experience where why do Pixar movies like kind of flop recently? Well, it's just because like even Elemental, I think Bob Iger knows isn't gonna do great. He's trying to push it because, of course, he's gonna try to push it. It's like it looks bad if you don't push that movie to go in theaters. But it's coming out the same day as The Flash. I don't think it's gonna do great. The trailers look fine. I think it looks good, but I don't think the general audience is gonna be interested enough to want to go see that. Especially if you like ask a kid, do you want to go see the movie about the Flash, or do you want to go see that new Pixar movie? They're gonna want to go see the Flash or Transformers or or the new Spider-Man movie. They're gonna want to see all those options over the new Pixar movie, which I get it, because it's like, yeah, if I was a kid, I want to see that over that too. Um, and so like Pixar is in a weird place theatrically and how it's doing. And I don't think it's like any of their movies are bad necessarily. I think they're all still good. Uh, I thought Lightyear was great. It was one of my favorite movies last year. And I think if it had had a better release date and release strategy, the movie would have done better. But it didn't, unfortunately. And that's just the reality of it. And and so like I I think Turning Red would have been hugely successful in theaters because when I work in a theater, before it was announced to go to Disney Plus, we actually had these standees that were sitting there, and we had kids who would literally walk up to it and scream at it because they were just so excited for it. You know, they're like, "Mom, I want to see the Red Panda movie," or the Panda movie or whatever. So they want to see that movie, and then they moved it to Disney Plus. And I can tell you that I worked the week that Turning Red was supposed to play in theaters. There was no other movies coming out the week before or after, so there was literally no competition for that movie. So it wouldn't have like it would have done great basically in theaters, but instead they pushed it back. So basically, Bob Iger was sitting here going like, "Yeah, you guys can make your original movies." Just like, even though Pixar was making mostly sequels, they were still making like some original movies like Coco. I think that's Bob Iger's plan, is to go back to that. And I think that like Chapek, if he had still been in charge, this probably would have happened as well. Just Bob Iger knows how to play his cards better with that though than Chapek does, and that's why he got fucking fired. But yeah, I think that's like I think that's why this is happening. Is Disney animated movies and Pixar movies are in a weird spot where they need some surefire hits. My problem with the Toy Story 5 is just, again, we've had four. Four was kind of unnecessary. It was my favorite of the four movies, but like objectively speaking, it's probably the second worst Toy Story movie, and it's still a good movie. It's still a great movie. I love it, but like it's hard for even me, someone who was doubtful of Toy Story 4 and then watched 4 and was like, this is great, to even get excited about a fourth one or a fifth one, because that's just like, what? I think it's weird that they didn't just like go, let's make another Incredibles or something. Like, make a sequel to a movie that makes sense. Like, why another Toys? Because I fucking hated Incredibles too, right? But even if they made an Incredibles 2, I would have been okay, or Incredibles 3 or whatever. I would have been okay with that over Toy Story 5, because I was like, okay, well, at least that kind of makes sense. There's a universe of possibilities here. But I will still watch all these movies. That's the thing about all this shit. I'm not one of those dudes of like, oh well, I'm never gonna watch this shit. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm a dude who knows I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be watching this stuff, and I get why it's happening. And if Toy Story 5 is good, then cool. I will be watching freaking Toy Story 5. And if Zootopia, and I'm incredibly hyped for Zootopia 2. Um, I think after Strange World, it's okay to say that Disney Animation needs a movie that is going to be a surefire hit for them. Uh, these people who are anti wokers really need to stop, though, because I feel like I feel like Disney needs to do something to make sure that they don't control so much of the conversation with their movies, so that they can shut the fuck up. Uh, because literally, when these movies fail, they are the ones that control the majority of the conversation. Because, like, well, no one watched Strange World, so now we have all. So who's talking about it? Oh, the people who are dangerous people want to cry that there's gay people in a movie, you know. And I think that's so sad. And I think that that's one thing. So here, I guess let me just go over some things I think they need to work on to really help Disney and Pixar so that they don't have to keep making sequels. Be smart about the original concepts. Like Strange World was a good movie, okay? I'm not going to pretend it wasn't. But the problem with that movie is you have this movie that's is so niche. Like it's referencing adventure movies that that no kid understands. The trailers that they did put out weren't good, and I think that even if they had marketed the movie, it would have done better than it did, of course. But it also still wouldn't have done great. So you need to think about like making movies that actually appeal to people. Second, with Pixar, better release dates. Like that's the big issue with Pixar was this year with Lightyear and some of these other projects. It's just the release dates are very bizarre and not really smart. Also, calm down, Disney. And what I mean by that is like when you have Avatar, when you have Strange World all coming out at the same time, like and Black Panther, and just all these things, and they're just like pumping and dumping all this content. They are their worst enemy of themselves. Like they're fighting for all these spots at the box office. Well, it's like you're fighting with yourself, you know. Like that's not great play. Your part. Like you need to be better because I know most kids will want to go see Black Panther, so you're arguing with these things and it's just like I don't know. I think that's one issue there. A lot of issues here with Disney and Pixar. I don't know how to feel about all this news. I just think that it's just frustrating that um, now whenever Disney content fails, there's like a certain side of the political spectrum that's like rooting for the failure of this company. That it's just like it's so sad because they're that bigoted and piece of, and shitty. But it's just I hate to keep ranting about it, but it just frustrates me because I'm sitting here like going, man, you know, there's logic to why this is happening and why all this crap is happening, and they don't want to listen to the logic of why these Disney movies aren't doing great. It's like I don't know. It's just crazy. I think this is just such an interesting developing story that I don't know. But Zootopia 2, heck yeah. Just confusing that we're getting a Toy Story 5, but I'm like, all right, give us Toy Story 5, I guess. And I think there is actually room for a Toy Story 5 in a sense of like well, a story about Woody helping lost toys. That'd be an interesting movie, I guess, but it's like I don't know how much I really want a Toy Story 5. Because again, I think how many times do we need to tell Pixar the story wrapped up nicely? And when I watch 4 and they're like, you know what? I get why this happened. You wrapped up the story nicely. No more from here. And then they're like, actually, we got another one in the can. And it'll be funny if they go out in an interview and be like, actually, by the way, we only are making this one because we had a really good story. Like, no, this time you're only making it for money. You can't get to 5 movies and tell me that you had a good story. There's no good story anymore. Like, even Star Wars couldn't make 5 movies and be like, yeah, we're doing it for the story.